Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Spiritually Fit podcast. Oh my God, who is she? This is still very new for me as it is for you, but we embrace change here because change leads to expansion. And we've got our dear friend Dani with us. Astrology After Dark is going nowhere. We will be dropping monthly episodes like we have been in the last couple of years. That's not going anywhere because this is the Spiritually Fit podcast. And as you know, friends, astrology can do so much for your wellness and your wellness journey. So, hey, Dani, how are you, girl?
So good and so incredibly happy to be back. I need to get into
Yeah.
some good celebrity gossip today.
Gossip is good for the soul. Gossip is
Good for
good
the
for the
soul.
soul. Yeah. So, we're doing Kanye today, friends. And so let us tell you first off why it took us a minute to come on. First off, like speaking for myself probably for you too, Dani, coming into the new year, like it all just happened really quick. Like it was like end of the year, new
Yeah.
moon in Capricorn, full moon here. We're in 2025, year of the hermit. Oh my God, it's New Year's, it's Christmas. People are moving, everything's happening at once. Business, 2025 plans, all of this right
Yeah.
now.
And also January was a whole year of 2025 in and of itself. That one
Mm-hmm.
month was the longest month in
It
the
was.
entire history of the world.
Fucking was. It was for sure, for sure. So we need a beat. We were initially going to give you all the P. Diddy part two. And friends, I know that you all wanted that so bad. Upon reflection and research, we decided against it.
We
Why?
did.
Because
It was
that
the
man
best
is
thing to do.
messy AF. Messy,
Dumpster
messy, messy,
fire.
messy, messy. Dumpster
Yeah.
fire. And
Don't
the
get too
last
close to the
thing,
dumpster fire.
no,
It's like
exactly,
if there's a theme
exactly.
you could take into your year of the hermit, stay away from big dumpster fires.
Far away. And the P. Diddy
Don't catch on
stuff,
fire.
like, friends, just watch the documentary on Peacock
Yeah.
and you will understand the why here. The last
There's
thing
gonna
we
be
wanted to
plenty of people
do,
that do get caught in that dumpster
yeah,
fire, and we don't need to be it.
we don't need to be. And we also aren't here to trigger anybody. There's lots and
Oh,
lots and
mhm.
lots of topics and things and horrific things that that man did. We don't know our listeners and we don't know what y'all have been through. And we don't want to be on here triggering anybody's trauma because here
Yeah.
on the Spiritually Fit podcast, we
Crime
heal our trauma.
podcast. Yeah, exactly. This
Right,
is this is spiritually fit. This
right.
isn't true crime. We're not going down that road.
No, it's not true
Oh,
crime. It's not true crime. And also, too, I didn't want it to feel like we were explaining away some of his actions through astrology. And, I want to take a minute to make that very clear. When we are covering these celebrities and when we're covering their birth charts and stuff, the birth chart is a way to understand the potential of somebody's walk through life. It's a way to understand how their puzzle pieces fit together. It's not a way to explain away somebody doing something wrong, bad, or illegal in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know. We just want to stay away from the dumpster fire. So fuck
totally.
that.
Totally. Fuck that. Agreed.
Now on to the next dumpster fire.
I was gonna say this one's just like a little
Kanye.
bit safer. This one's a little bit safer. This is like a
hmm
backyard dumpster fire. It's all right.
Right, right. Whereas
Not this
like P.
whole
Diddy's like,
giant.
dude, it's like an oil rig dumpster fire in the middle of the Pacific. Like that is P. Diddy right
Exactly.
now.
Exactly. A whole plant is on
No,
fire there, like factory
literally.
plant. Yeah.
Oh my God. No, thank you. But you never know, friends. We might bring that back when things settle in and we get his verdict and all that. But for as of now, heavy topics, light podcast, follow the dots.
Fun
But
here. There's plenty of
Kanye,
heavy ass shit going on in all of our timelines and all of our
right,
feeds every
right.
single day. Astrology After Dark is to kick back and
Mm-hmm.
laugh a little and like
Mm-hmm.
sip your tea a little because
Mm-hmm.
that's what this is for. Yeah. Yeah.
And boy, has Kanye been amazing at giving us tea.
His
Like,
whole career.
dude, I will say I'm a Kanye apologist. Come for me in the comments if you want to, bro. I don't care. I like, I've always loved his music. I've always had a soft spot for him. And even now, there are things Kanye is doing. Even when he wore the MAGA hat, I was like, maybe that's not him. Maybe it's a clone. Like I'm trying my best. But with recent things that have come out, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. What I can say is I will forever love Kanye's music. I think he is an amazing musician. Something has happened to him along the way. Many things. It seems like let's get into it.
Here's what I'll say. Kanye is one of many artists, and I'm talking when I use the word artist, I mean in like any medium. There are artists that are these tortured souls that we like feel for. And there are these artists that are tortured souls that you're like, "Ugh." And there's a lot of ethical lines being blurred, and that's putting it gently a lot of the time. But regardless, there's this art that they put out into the world. There's
Hmm.
like to give like a such a 180 example, this is how it is with like J.K. Rowling, the writer of Harry
Mm.
Potter. So like this massive beloved on this global cultural level story that's like blossomed into this whole world, and the person that that's come from has like engaged in or said some things that it's like so sometimes I think that
Wait, hold on, hold on. What happened with J.K.
do you not know about what
What the hell that hoe do? What why is somebody always doing
he
something? Can we just sit
would
down?
call herself this, but she has said very anti-trans things. I don't know if she herself has come out as anti-trans, but she gets labeled like a TERF a lot and
Wait, what's
can
a
be
turf?
like it stands for it's a form of radical feminism. I can't remember what it stands for, sorry everybody.
Does that have to
But
do with like having a bush? Like turf?
it has to do
Maybe.
with like being anti a trans woman is not a woman, that in that regard. And she's been
Damn.
pretty vocal about that to the point where even like Daniel Radcliffe, like who played Harry Potter in the
Hmm.
movies, he's even come out and spoken like against her and stuff. A few people have because of the
Wow.
stuff she took it so far and was really extreme. That's the reason it reminds me of Kanye, where like you cannot deny just because of the shitty things she said, you cannot deny the
Those
effect and
books
the
didn't change
legacy of the art.
lives.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry
Yeah.
you can't. And the same thing goes for an artist like Kanye in his music. He will come out and say these things. And like this happened when we learned about everything with R. Kelly. Like this happens. This happens when we learn, and you have to, this is
I
the
don't
nuance and
believe I can
complexity of being a
fly.
human. See,
Hmm.
now can
I,
you listen to that
I
song?
I remember
See?
hearing that song as like core memories with that song. Core
Of
memories.
course. Of course.
Yeah.
Then you learn the things that you learn,
And
and
you're
you're
just
like,
like,
fuck. And that's the complexity of being a human. Quite honestly, it's what Ashley and I love about astrology is like
yeah,
astrology itself is not black and white. That's the
it's
whole
not.
point of the discussion and the interpretation of the chart
Hmm.
itself. And like it's okay that you don't feel one way or the other about someone like Kanye or JK or R. Kelly.
I know,
But
right? I just want
yeah,
to
but
like
it's
get
still good that we
inside
talk about
Kanye's
it.
head. Yeah. Like,
For real, man. For
like,
real.
and I also
Is
want to
it
like
real?
figure out what
Is
he
it
knows.
manufactured? Does he do it on purpose? How much is on purpose and how much is just him? That's what I always want to
That's the
know.
thing. Because the one thing I do know is like folks will do stuff on purpose for media and clickbait. So
For
like you
media
have to
and
sift
also in
through
the
the
artist
BS.
way. To be
Yeah,
like, I'm doing this as an artist. Do you know what I mean?
very much
Yes.
so. And
Mhm.
Kanye, that's Kanye's vibe. I'm letting the artist
Totally.
speak. That's his vibe.
Totally.
Yeah, for
Totally.
sure. For sure.
Was
Okay,
not
let's pull up
surprised to
his
see he was
chart.
a Gemini. Oh, yeah, exactly. Let's
Yeah, let's
pull it
pull up
up.
his chart and
Throw it on the
then we'll
screen
get
for the
into his
people.
antics. We'll get into
I've
his
got it on my
antics.
screen. I forgot it wasn't on everybody else's screen. Sorry. Yeah.
Danny's like, I'm like in it to win it. Okay, let's
Oh,
let's
yeah.
start there. So why weren't you surprised he's a Gemini? And of course, Jupiter conjunct is Gemini.
Because Gemini is a sign that most people don't associate Gemini with this or attribute Gemini with this, but Gemini is similar in or to Leo in the sense that it doesn't really mind being seen and being on
Right.
stage and people noticing them and especially
Hmm.
talking about them. Gemini does, they're that person that's like, keep my fucking name out of your mouth, but they
Yeah.
love that your name is in their fucking mouth or in your
Exactly.
mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's total Gemini energy. And so to have sun, so our sun placement, even though most of us know what our sun placement is, a lot of people don't know the meaning of the sun placement, which
Let's
is
talk about it.
this core essence that is you. It gets attributed to the ego a lot. The ego definitely does live in the sun placement, but to specify it even more, I always tell people your sun is the purpose for this specific in life incarnation that you're in. It's really, really specific to who you are in this life, which is why it's your ego. It's what attaches you to this life. If the sun in our solar system, everything revolves around it, right? The center of our universe, metaphorically
Well,
speaking,
if you're not a
your
flat
sun is
earther.
like that in your chart. Yes, your sun is like that in your chart. So much revolves around your sun in this life, aka your purpose in this life. So
Yeah.
to have that ego placement, that self-centric placement in Gemini being very amplified by Jupiter in Gemini right there. Um, that makes a lot of sense to me as far as Kanye goes as a person, and B, for recent headlines because he's been having his Jupiter return in Gemini, and Jupiter's been retrograde and just station direct at the beginning of February. And so it makes sense to me that this has been a time that we've been seeing some new updated Kanye waves right now, and that
Yeah,
he's kind of
yeah.
been centric in the headlines again.
Which is crazy. It's funny that you say that because he has been super quiet lately. And then all of a sudden it's been
Yeah,
Kanye did this,
exactly.
Kanye did that. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, it's really been nuts. There's so many things I want to look at, but I think before we get into some of these heavier topics like this North Node in Libra and this Taurus stellium, I want to go into his Pisces moon. That is so fitting for Kanye because if Kanye isn't anything, boy, is he moody. And you never really know what you're gonna get with Kanye. And with a lot of the documentaries I've seen and stuff like that, and the folks that have worked for him, that's essentially what they've said. Like Kanye will be in a whole different planet, and then all of it, Pisces, pun intended, right? And then all of a sudden, he's like down to earth, like telling somebody what they did or why they did something wrong. Um, how do you think his Pisces moon plays into the whole persona of Kanye West?
This is a huge part of the Kanye mysteriousness factor.
Yeah, right. There
Huge.
is a mystery about
When you
him.
and I, yes, when you and I started off talking about him saying, like, there's this wanting to figure Kanye out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we
Mm-hmm.
all kind of feel that way about him. That's
Mm-hmm.
because of this mysteriousness about him. He has a moon in Pisces that's in his 12th house. Our 12th house is the house of our subconscious, these
Mm-hmm.
unseen parts of ourselves. It's a deep house of mystery, honestly, within
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. It's something we explore about ourselves and we don't really know. Like getting to know your own
Yeah.
subconscious is getting to know a part of yourself, let alone other people understanding that
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
you. So this is a huge part of the Kanye like elusive, like how much of it is organic, really just him being his own personality. And also because Pisces and Gemini talk to each other. So they activate each other in a square aspect, which is like this tensity that us astrologers would look at when we're reading a chart. So his moon and his in Pisces and his Gemini energy are talking with each other and you can see by that red line pretty intensely. And I think that this really shows up in I feel like Kanye has this part of himself that's like, I kind of want to like experiment and just see what people are going to say when I do this.
Yeah,
What would
that's very
happen if I
Gemini
did
of
this?
him
And
too.
exactly. And the Pisces part kind of brings like a darkness to it, if you will.
Yeah, I would
So
agree.
the curiosity from the Gemini, like, the experimental thing, and then there's this like darkness that the Pisces can kind of bring, and like, uh, that doesn't always mean Pisces placements in men has shown up throughout history in a lot of really bad, scary places. There's a lot
Yeah.
of famous, like, serial killers with major Pisces placements. And, like, so don't get me
Mm-mm.
wrong, there's a reputation there. But this can indicate an extremely sensitive and empathetic part of a person. And this could be an
Oh,
indicator that
Kanye's sensitive as
Kanye,
hell. He was hurt
exactly,
when Kim
exactly.
left. He was fucked
Right,
up over
and really
that.
operates on that sensitive, deep level that most
Hmm.
people, if you don't have Pisces placements or major, major water placements, it's hard to really understand and empathize with. But he definitely, this accounts for a lot of the darkness that we see because his Scorpio stuff, those placements that he has in Scorpio are not things most of us are going to notice on a immediate level like we would the moon placement because those are very
I would agree.
outer
I also
planet, right?
think,
And an asteroid.
right. I also think too, there's a place to go with his creativity with that Pisces moon. Our
Absolutely.
Pisces, they're known to be creatives. And I think of how Kanye has done this amazing, beautiful job at reinventing himself and his brand in so many different ways, from the clothing line to the church to the school. Now, are there problems? Yes, not with every single one of them, but yeah. But I think it takes a sort of tenacity and balls to say that my creative expression is not a linear one. And that is
Hmm.
essentially what he said with so many of his endeavors. Um, and I think his Pisces moon has a lot to do with it. Our moon is our emotional body, friends, and Pisces is the creative. They look at the world through a different lens. And I think it's very evident that Kanye is really into abstract energy and symbology and telling you something without telling you something. Like when you listen to his stuff, his content,
Yes,
you can tell that he's trying to tell you something without
exactly.
telling you something.
Yeah.
It's and right now with where we're at with mainstream media and Hollywood, I think it's fascinating that a lot of folks who weren't listening are now listening to Kanye's antics. Before Kanye was just crazy, they were just antics. Kanye doesn't know what he's
Yep.
talking about. He sipped the
Yep.
Kool-Aid too much. Now people are pulling back old bits of information when Kanye was outing certain people, allegedly. I don't want to be sued here. Outing certain people, in the industry for things that they are, were, or were not doing. Um, I also think, too, to speak on that a little more, going back to the whole emotional energy of it all and what's happening in Hollywood right now. When you pull up some of Kanye's content, you can tell that he feels bad. Like when I say that, I mean you can tell that he feels like some of the things that he has witnessed and been a part of, he shouldn't have been witnessing, nor should he have been a part of them, which is why he's been bringing up certain names. And I think I'm gonna, call it like I see it, because just like on the Goddess Complex and the Spiritually Fit podcast, we do the same thing. I don't think a lot of people feel bad. I think when we are talking about the realm of, like, the P. Diddy stuff and who all was involved, if people felt bad, they would have stopped or changed their behavior. So I think the biggest thing that the P. Diddy stuff is bringing to the forefront is that the people that we loved, admired, and respected the most don't give a fuck about us. And that's a tough pill to swallow.
And this is why, as we move further and further into like Pluto and Aquarius, for
Mm-hmm.
example. This is why learning or not even learning, paying attention is what I should say. Paying
Yeah.
attention to real remorse, because there's
Mm-hmm.
true remorse, there's performative remorse,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's that blatant, there's no remorse, right?
Right. Right.
And as more and more shit like this, whether it's because this Hollywood stuff, I guarantee all of you, is just the tip of the iceberg and the
Oh
start of
yeah.
it. I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee that everything, it might all be connected, quote unquote, but it might not. I just think that, like, I mean, in the grand scheme of Earth, I would believe that it's all connected. But, like, I just
Mm.
mean, I don't think that this is going to be the first and only major big unearthing that's going to take place in the next 20 years. I think that
I
this
agree.
happening right now at the beginning of Pluto and Aquarius is actually an indicator of what is to come in very large waves. There's a lot of truth that Pluto unearths, like brings up anything you've buried in the underworld, like, and
Mm-hmm.
this being in the sign of Aquarius, we're going to see a lot of true colors if you're paying attention, because
Yeah.
it's the performative empathy, the performative remorse, the performative charitative, like philanthropy. That's
Mm-hmm.
what you need to be the most paying attention to, because that's what's been fooling so many people for so long and making so many of us twist these lines, especially in like Hollywood and celebrities, making us think that we know these people when we really don't.
Yeah.
We know what they're
Yeah.
about when we really don't. We know
When
what
we
they've been
really
up
don't,
to when
right?
we really don't.
Right.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
fucking
And
scary.
I agree with you. That's kind of what I was saying about his moon and his capacity for like empathy and sensitivity. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not surprised at all that you can pick up on and sense that remorse
There's
energy from
yeah.
him, because
Yeah.
you can
There's
tell
certain
when
clips I've
someone's in
seen.
that
Yeah.
and when it's performative if you're paying attention.
Right. So true. So true.
Mhm.
Um, okay, I want to go to Taurus first and then we'll end out with Libra. And
Okay.
I really want to dig into this stellium. And for friends that are new here, a stellium is three or more planets in one sign or one house. And so you guys will see here that the houses are not connected to the chart here. It's because his time of birth isn't as accurate as we would like, but we get a gist, and this is it's mostly accurate. So don't think we're going off like a bad chart. But what we can
Yeah.
do is come down here to double check, right? Which is what you may have saw me do earlier if you're watching the visual. So I saw that there was a lot of congestion in Taurus, so I double checked. And so we're working with a Mercury at 26 degrees. Venus and Mars, they're conjunct because they're 1 degree apart, and they're also conjunct Chiron at 4 degrees. So we have massive energy in Taurus. And I'd love to hear what you think about this, Dani. Before you get into it though, because I'm sure you may not know this, because like I said, I'm a Kanye apologist. I've been following his career since he came out. He has a thing with homes. Kanye will buy very expensive homes and he will gut them, he will half finish them, and he will leave them to rot. He has wasted,
Fascinating.
yes, that's why I wanted to bring this up before he got into this because of Taurus. Um, he has wasted millions of dollars. He has had people on his team say how wasteful this is. He has lots in different parts of the world, Dani, of just homes, and he won't sell. That's what's crazy about it. He won't sell. He will just leave them there and move on. How about that? And now, friends who are less familiar with astrology, I know Dani made the connection immediately. The reason why I bring that up is because Taurus loves safety and comfort and stability, and Taurus loves the home life. And so to find this huge concentration of energy there, and then to already know that he has this thing with homes, It's
Yes.
fascinating. I'd love to pick your brain on that.
That is so fascinating
Right?
because exactly what you were just saying. First of all, Mars, Venus, and Mercury are our inner planets. So they're part of
Mm-hmm.
our like most immediate personality and like who we are. They represent those parts of ourselves, very personal aspects. Now,
Yeah,
Chiron
you're right. Our wounded
adding
healer.
into this mix because the inner planets are so like personal to us, like for example the fact
Mm-hmm.
that Mercury is there. Mercury is very hands oriented, so this is what made me think of like, oh, these houses physically go up. He can't just let
Yeah,
them be in his
right.
mind a dream that he wants to do. The physical work must
Yeah.
begin. I can't wait to tie
Uh-huh.
this in for you, what I think this is related to.
I'm
So
so
then
excited.
you have Chiron, where I'm like, the first, while you were explaining to me, I was like, this is total Chiron coping mechanism in
Right.
Taurus. Like,
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like I don't have roots. I feel like I don't have a home. I have to
Yeah.
build the dream home. Every
Yeah.
home doesn't live up to the dream. But
Yeah.
then you threw me a wrench on top of that, saying he won't sell them.
Right.
And this has happened multiple times. It
Multiple
would
times.
be one thing if this was like two, three, even I'll give you.
No, yeah,
But to
multiple
have
times.
people who've worked for you to be like,
Hmm.
okay, this is like getting excessive, like this
Yeah.
is insanely wasteful. So as
Right.
soon as you said that, my eyes jet over to Saturn in Leo.
I was looking at
Now,
that
I don't
one.
think
Hmm.
there's definitely not an exact square going on between his Leo and Saturn, or Saturn and Leo, and any of his Taurus placements by a degree. There's a reason there's no like red line drawing those ones together. However, in general, Taurus energy and Leo energy can they're both fixed signs and they can conflict a little in their own energy. And I see this as like a Saturnian lesson that he's having in Pride, but
Ooh,
he plays it out and processes
yes.
it and expresses it through this Taurus coping mechanism way. Because
Hmm.
I have had to have conversations with a couple of clients that are very Taurus heavy in their placements. And I've had to explain to them, like, your experiences with displacement are way harder than you than a lot of other people. Like,
Right.
not having
Right.
roots and a home and stability and security as a Taurus is particularly debilitating and crushing
Yes.
for Taurus. So for
Hmm.
Kanye to be like, let's just call it what it is, like filthy rich, has
Filthy
plenty
fucking
of
rich.
resources and security,
Right.
right? But then
Right.
to just be like, spew wasting this in this weird like pipe dream. God, that's why I went to Saturn, because I was like, I'm sorry, this is
Yeah.
a weird like pattern coping mechanism
Hmm.
thing that keeps coming around that he's ignoring. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if the fact that they're not in an exact square is kind of why that's happening. Those planets are not in direct contact with each other, so they're not challenging each
Mm.
other enough. And
Right.
so it's going really unnoticed by him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes
Yeah,
total sense. That makes total sense.
that is such a quirky, fascinating little
Isn't it
tidbit there. I did
interesting? I felt
not
the
know
same
that at
way.
all.
Hmm.
Yes.
Super
Because
quirky.
Taurus is also it's ruled by Venus, everybody. So like
Hmm.
Taurus is already very associated with many artists' charts and energy.
Hmm.
Taurus is like ruled by the muse, and then they're an earth sign, so they like bring that inspiration into the real world. They're very known for like bringing these beautiful inspirational ideas and like forming them into like architecture and stuff like that, or
Architecture.
being sculptors or what
Right.
exactly. And so that's why
Going
it's
back to the church,
so
you know?
fascinating. Yes.
Kanye's church, man.
Yes.
And then the
He
church wasn't
can't
enough.
just
He had to
let
do with
things live up
school.
here. He can't.
Mm-hmm.
He has to put it out into
Mm-hmm.
real, tangible. Taurus has to like be able to bang on it and listen
Yeah.
to it and smell it and hear it for them to believe that it's real. They like cannot let it live in their head. They have to bring it into the tangible.
I love too how you brought up the Leo lesson in or the Saturnian lesson in Leo Pride. I wasn't going to go here, but it is worth bringing it up because if Kanye isn't anything, is he's prideful. That man is the most prideful fucking man. I think I like Kanye. You are doing everything wrong. Everything is lit the fuck up around you, and you are still going to say that you are
Yeah.
Yeezy. with a capital
Yeah.
Y. Like Nike
I
was
want
wrong for taking away
everyone
his deal. You know, like everybody's
I
wrong.
want
Kim
everyone
was
to ask
wrong.
us to do Kim and Kanye's synastry because I remember
Oh my
talking about her
God.
stuff. I know, so I keep thinking about our Kim episode, looking at this, and I'm like, oh, I really want
Yes,
to talk
yes.
about their
And
relationship.
actually, friends, too, we there is an email. There is an email. So hold on. Let me get it out. Let me get it out. It is Z. Where's she at? I'm pretty sure it's the Spiritually Fit podcast. Yep. The Spiritually Fit podcast at gmail.com. Email us who you want us to do. We still have tons of open time for 2025, and it'll be down in the show notes. The Spiritually Fit podcast at gmail.com. Dani and I do these once a month. These episodes always drop the last Thursday of every single month. If for some reason it has not dropped, it's because you girls got busy, but we're not going
Yeah.
anywhere because we absolutely love
No.
doing this. Um,
Yeah.
so yes.
Just
But yeah,
remember
I
us
want,
talking about Kim's Leo stuff and
yes,
now having this context with Kanye stuff. Yeah, and
it's wild.
he is a very prideful motherfucker and he has specific lessons in that in this life for
He
sure,
does. He
indicated
does.
by
I
that
mean,
second placement. Totally.
right.
Totally. Yeah.
Speaking of Kim and all that, this is like the head honcho, the big boy, North Node
Yeah.
in Libra. Kanye has
With
had
Pluto.
He has had some controversial relationships. The women he has been with have spoken out in a number of ways. He also has a lot to say about other people's relationships. Let's not forget, Kanye was the one that outed that Kylie was dating what's his name before she was legal? What's that man's name? Hold on. Tyga. Kylie was dating Tyga. Yeah. Kanye outed that on a podcast and was like, that man don't
Before,
got no
that's
business.
right. I forgot about
Kanye
that.
always has the most to say when his whole relationships are a mess. So, where do we even want to begin? Do we want to start with, okay, let's find out the new girlfriend's name. I know you guys are probably saying it right now, but I forgot.
What's the new girlfriend's name? And who is she again? Is she not to be a mean
She
person? I
used to
mean,
work
like,
for him, Bianca
okay, so
Sensori.
the only
So
reason I was gonna say is she's some random. I just mean like she's not
she is kind of
usually
a
Kanye
random,
or has been with like a celebrity,
famous.
but exactly
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
Actually, let's look up his exes now while we're here. But yeah, no, Bianca Sensori is an Australian who used to work for Kanye on one of his 18,000 projects. And
What does that even
they
mean? Work for him? Doing
she
what?
did some sort of, I don't know, something with the numbers, the
Fascinating.
books,
All
the
right,
marketing. She did
all
something
right,
along
all right.
those lines. And they had a moment when Kanye was trying to get back with Kim, and Kim was like, nah, nah. So he found Kim part two. Because the going thing is that Bianca Sensori looks just like Kim, which she does look like Kim.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
one thing, I would love to get your pick on this. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. The muse thing. You use the word muse, and I find that to be very
Yes.
interesting because
Mhm.
Kanye has been accused of utilizing his women as his muses. So, for example, like people always say that Kim got her fashion sense from Kanye. And I would agree with a lot of people when they say that, right? That Kanye was the one before Kanye, Kim wasn't getting invited to these high fashion events. It was Kanye that was getting her the way in. Um,
I also heard that Kanye would like design their outfits or like pick them
yes, yes.
very
Kanye
frequently.
would design the outfits, Kanye would pick out the outfits, Kanye
That's
would
what I
clear the
thought. Yeah.
outfits.
So I
Who
mean,
am I
that
thinking
makes sense.
of? Is it Chaney Jones? No. There's the one, Amber Rose. Amber Rose has gone public
Amber
on, yes,
Rose.
she's gone public on podcasts saying that Kanye had full control over how she dressed and what she wore, and then what she wore things out to. So things that they planned, much like we talked about at the top of this episode, of are we doing
Mhm.
this for the clicks? Are we doing this just to do it? There are moments,
Right.
and Kanye, it's not just you, baby. We know all of Hollywood does this. We know this. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna
All of
wear
them have a
certain
PR
things,
rep. Yeah,
a PR
exactly.
rep, right?
Yeah.
Wearing certain things at certain times just for the clickbait. Just like he said
Yeah.
when he had Bianca fully naked, he said, I wanted my wife to be the number one tweeted thing about the Grammys, and she is. if that was the Grammys, whatever that was. I think it was the Grammys. But that's what he said. He was quoted saying that he wanted her to be the number one tweeted topic, and he got her there. Well, he was in all black,
Oh,
head to toe, and she was
that
butt naked.
first of all, there's that Pisces Gemini conversation I was talking about of this like, I wonder if this would work if I do it. But the Pisces darkness I'm talking about is like, yeah, but at what person's like integrity and expense? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I wanted her to be the
yeah,
most talked about thing at the Grammys, and now she is. At what price did this woman
right.
volunteer for that? Or is this woman like coerced into this kind of a thing?
That's what people
Do
are
we
saying. I'm not
exactly?
sure if I
But here's
believe
the
it.
deal. There's probably if you want my honest, like realistic opinion, I don't think every single one of his relationships are identical. There's
Yeah.
probably some where it was more intense for some than it was for others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kanye and Kim, you have to look at them in a lot of ways as way more almost a business brand mogul than a married couple. When
Yeah.
we take our understanding as regular citizens of marriage and like a couple, we don't recognize how much business transactions are in relationships in Hollywood, you guys. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
seriously don't understand how many relationships are A, straight up manufactured,
Mm-hmm.
or even if they begun organically, they become this. Well, this has been a time and money investment at
This
this point.
like shell
This
of
gets
what it
us money.
was. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so like
Yeah.
you have to understand that like I think that Kanye is a combination of a product of trauma and also massive fame. He's one of the most, like, he has
Mm-hmm.
risen to massive levels when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
celebrity, like hierarchy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this combination mixed in with probably at least some emotional attachment, real love for Kim. I think all of this kind of mixed
Oh,
together
definitely. I definitely
into
think they loved each other for sure.
desperation. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when a human being gets to a point of feeling desperate, it's when we see some of our darkest behaviors and choices come out.
I would
And I
agree.
think that their relationship, based on different things that Kim has described, I think that there was this, at the very least, sensing that things were going to come to an end, and probably
Mm-hmm.
this desperation to control even more. So I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be surprised if number one, Kim is like one of the most intense examples of relationships he's had.
I would agree.
I would see similarities in his relationship with Amber Rose, but I don't think that literally every single person he's been with, it's been that way. I think it's kind of grown to this point, I guess is what
I
I'm
think
trying to
so
say,
too.
because
You
of all
know,
these factors.
it's out of
And
control.
again, just like you said, I'm not explaining away any actual like abusive behavior by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not justifying, I'm more of just explaining what I personally think the timeline is, like how it got to where it is. Because there's definitely like, there's experiences that Kim has explained that's happened where I'm like, well, yeah, that's intense. That's
Right.
intense for sure to be in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you know me, I'm gonna be the first person to tell you Kim fucking Kardashian is not an innocent bystander in my books by
Right.
any means either.
That girl ain't innocent. Mm-mm. Everything she
Oh,
does is calculated.
that's
But
what I'm saying. Exactly. So
it's so
you
true.
can advocate for Kim all day long, which is fine, which is fine. And she's she's just as much in this giant Hollywood game as much as he
Mm-hmm.
is. She just plays her pieces in the game differently than he does.
Exactly. I fully agree. I fully agree.
So
But
true.
yeah,
The
this was
Libra stuff,
Kanye's chart.
yeah, he's a fascinating. I'm not surprised by how this kind of looks for him. This is really,
Yeah.
I was curious what it would actually look like, and there's definitely this quirky, like, mysteriousness here for sure, with a lot of the surface level. Oh yeah, that stuff makes sense.
Very quirky, very mysterious. I'm here for all of it. Here for all of it. I guess we'll just have to see what Kanye does next. He's already out and about doing all of his antics.
Yep.
Um, we'll just have to see. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this episode. Let us know down in the comments, especially if like you know something about Kanye that makes sense in the chart that we didn't cover. We would love to hear it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Dani, where can the people find you, support you, and love on you?
You can always find me anywhere across the internet at That Witch Next Door. You can find me on my podcast at That Witch Podcast. Of course, join me in That Witch School. Book a one-on-one reading with me if you like how I break down astrology for other humans. Yeah, everything's in the show notes. I'd love to have you.
Yeah. Amazing. Friends, this has been so good. We do not have a topic for March yet, so send them our way, darling. Send them our way. And if you really, really, really love us, it would mean so much if you gave us that 5-star review and let us know what your favorite part of the episode was. When you leave reviews, it helps the work get out to who needs it most. So take 2 minutes out of your day. We truly appreciate it. And we're going to keep this content coming. And as per usual, we will see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao for now. Hello, friends. I hope you loved today's episode. Make sure you share it with a friend, share it with somebody that you love, and tag me on the gram at Ashley Michelle 90day and let me know your thoughts. Leaving that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify is literally what helps this work get to the right people. As you may or may not know, we are in the middle of a spiritual revolution, and us being able to get our hands on resources like this podcast and others is what is literally going to make the world go round. So do me this favor and please leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and share the episode with somebody you love. It really, truly does mean the world to me. I love you so very much, and I will see you in the next one.